Hello, this is Dr. Armand, the General Chemistry 1 Lab Coordinator. I just wanted to welcome you to the General Chemistry 1 face-to-face lab course. So this is the first time in over a year that we've had a face-to-face lab course in General Chemistry 1. And so today, or I should say in this video lecture, I'm going to talk about a few of the basic components of the course, types of assignments, required items you need, and then also give you a very brief virtual tour of the Blackboard page to show you how to navigate between the different components. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to General Chemistry 1 Laboratories, the face-to-face section or sections. And so some of the required material that you need for this course, of course, you will need a lab manual and a notebook. And actually, these are both together. We have a electronic lab manual and an electronic lab notebook. The access code for this package of materials is available at the bookstore, and then you click on the link in Blackboard to register for the electronic lab manual and the electronic lab notebook. In addition to that, you will need some goggles. You'll need goggles by June 7th. That's our first lab. You're required to have a lab coat. You're welcome to go purchase your own lab coat. We will provide you with a lab coat that, if taken good care of, can last you for several different lab courses. And you will need an iClicker 2 or the REFAP for the lab lecture sessions. Now, seeing as this is a face-to-face lab, we do have required attire for lab. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of that. And so with Labatire, we have a couple of things that we need to adhere to. So if you have long hair, it's strongly recommended that you tie back the long hair so that way the hair doesn't get into any of your chemicals, or if we were using a Bunsen burner, wouldn't unfortunately catch on fire. You will need safety goggles, and so these have to completely enclose your eyes. So you will need those on the first day of lab, which is June 7th. You will need a lab coat, which we will provide for you when you come to lab. You will need to wear closed-toed shoes. So the shoe has to completely enclose your foot. Make sure you wear long pants. This is a summer semester, so it gets hot, but make sure you at least keep a pair of long pants in your car, or you wear long pants to the lab. Now, optional, we'll have rubber gloves available for you to wear if you choose to do so. And these are the different components you need to make sure you have on when you come to lab. So the iClicker 2 Reef, again, this is used in the lab lecture quizzes. So when you come to lab lecture, we'll discuss the lab that is coming up. We'll have a brief quiz at the end of that session. It is for a grade and also to take attendance. Make sure you correctly register for your iClicker on Blackboard. More about that coming up later on. And you need to make sure you either have the REFAP or the iClicker 2 by the second lab lecture. Now, as this is a face-to-face course, you're required by the university to make sure you have completed the safety training. This needs to be completed prior to June 7th. once you complete the safety trainings, there's 2 of them. You'll get a certificate for each one. You'll print those off. You'll bring them to the first lab. If you don't have those training certificates, we cannot let you come into the lab. So make sure you do these 2 lab safety courses. Instructions are here. There's also instructions on the Blackboard as well. So you have until June 7th to complete this. As far as lab attendance, we highly recommend that everyone attends on time. But if you arrive between 5 and 15 minutes late, it's considered a tardy. One tardy, you're given a warning. The second or more tardies is a 20% penalty applied to the data sheets. Disregard the pre-lab write-up for the corresponding experiment. Also, your TA will have a sign-in sheet to take attendance. Make sure you sign the sign-in sheet or else you may be counted absent. You're allowed 1 excused absence, which must be approved by Dr. Armand prior to the absence, and there will be an alternate lab assignment to be determined for your absence. So since we all the labs are on Monday, there's no makeup labs, but if you unfortunately miss one lab, there will be an alternate assignment that will account for this missed lab. So what is an unexcused absence? Of course, missing a lab that is not excused, failing the pre-lab assignments, which is the pre-lab, the video assignment and safety assignment. We'll talk more about these in a second. So you need to make sure that you complete these assignments before lab. You have to make at least a passing grade overall for those 2 assignments. And we'll talk more about these in just a bit. So again, each lab, you're going to have a pre-lab video assignment and a pre-lab safety assignment for you to complete before coming into lab. So make sure that the overall average grade of those 2 assignments is a 60 or better, and you're allowed to attend lab. If you're more than 15 minutes late to lab, we can't let you do the lab as well. You disregard this, there's no more pre-lab write-up, it's just the pre-lab assignments as well. An unexcused absence from lab is missing 2 lab lectures. So hopefully we all attend the lab lectures over the semester, or if you have 3 tardies, it's considered a absence as well. So seeing as the lab lecture is right before the lab, all students should be on time to the lab course. So the first items to complete, once you log into Blackboard, it'll bring you to the Start Here page. Make sure you read each item on the Start Here page, go through it sequentially, making sure to click Mark Reviewed for those items that require you to click Mark Reviewed, because that will unlock other content on that page. Also in the Start Here link is the syllabus quiz. You have to make a score of 100 on it in order to access other lab modules in the course. And you have until June 14th to complete the syllabus quiz. Also in the Start Here page, you'll need to register for your Hayden McNeil Lab Manual and e-notebook. Again, the access code can be purchased from the bookstore. Once you complete everything on the Start Here page, you can begin working on the Excel Lab module. Again, making sure that you go through each item sequentially, clicking mark reviewed for those items that require it. In addition to the Excel lab, you should be working on the Burette lab item. So for the Burette lab, you'll have a pre-lab video assignment for this lab. It will be due by 11 a.m. on June 7th. You'll need to complete this pre-lab video assignment for the Burette lab by the due date in order to attend the lab. And make sure you check the email regularly, because I do send out lots of announcements throughout the course of the semester. And sometimes these get sent to your spam folder. So again, right now, complete all the items on the Start Here page, going through it sequentially, start working on the Excel lab module, and completing the Burette lab pre-lab video assignment, which will open on June 1st. And you have to make a 60 or better on that pre-lab video assignment. So we will have a pre-lab quiz for labs 1 through 9. You will be given 2 attempts, which are timed depending on the types of questions. It may be anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes. Saves the highest quiz grade. And the deadline is going to be 11 a.m. the Monday of the corresponding experiment. And there's no extensions for this. Now, this is separate from the pre-lab assignments, aka the video assignment and the safety assignment. So this pre-lab quiz is over the concepts, the background of the lab, etc. So make sure you read over the lab lecture notes, the chapters in the corresponding textbook, and also the background information on the Hayden McNeil lab platform. So all labs starting with 1 through 9 have a pre-lab quiz. So the Burette lab and the Excel lab did not have pre-lab quizzes associated with it. The pre-lab assignments, this will consist of 2 things, a pre-lab video assignment and the safety quiz. In the past, we've had students write a pre-lab write-up. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to have a pre-lab video assignment, which is a video of someone conducting most parts of the lab, and you'll be asked questions which are embedded throughout the video. And then secondly, depending on the number of chemicals, you may have a safety quiz, which is quizzing you over the safety and hazard information for the chemicals used in lab. Now, these 2 assignments, it's very important that the average grade from these 2 is a 60 or better, so that you can attend the lab. Both of these assignments have unlimited time attempts, 1 unlimited time attempt for you to get your grade. And these cannot be submitted late. These must be submitted by the due date so that the TA can look and see who made a 60 or better combined average on these 2 assignments. So there's no more writing pre-lab write-ups before lab. We're going to be doing a pre-lab video assignment and a safety quiz. These are independent of the pre-lab quiz that we just talked about. So the first one is going to be for the Burette lab, which is due June 7th. For the post-lab assignments, most post-lab assignments for the different labs will consist of post-lab questions, which will be completed on Blackboard and will open up after you finish the lab for that experiment. The post-lab questions are graded automatically. If you want to review over those questions, you will need to contact your TA or myself. They will not post what the answers are. Has to be completed by the due date, which will be the following Monday after you completed the lab. And these are individual assignments. So post-lab questions are for labs 1 through 4 and 6 through 9. Now for lab 5, we'll be writing a lab report, which will be submitted on Blackboard. And we'll talk more about the lab report further into the semester. So most of the experiments will be doing post-lab questions, which will be completed online. So you will also be graded on your data sheet. So when you come into a lab, you'll bring your laptop, you'll sign into your e-notebook and your Hayden McNeil digital lab manual. You'll be conducting the experiment and recording the data for that experiment. Now, depending on the time, you may have to, outside of lab, finish up the calculations and discussion of results. So each student will have 24 hours to finish up any secondary calculations and any discussion of results for the data sheets. But make sure you submit it, your data sheets, within 24 hours of completing the lab. Every lab has a data sheet associated with it. Now in the lab lecture, which is meeting on Mondays from 1 to 1:50 in the summer semester, we'll be giving lab lecture quizzes during the lab lecture, which will consist of topics or concepts or even calculations over the current lab that you're about to do. And so we will be taking these quizzes with the iClicker 2 or the REFAP, and it's also used to record attendance. And we'll have our first lab lecture quiz during the second lab lecture for this course. And you will need to register it through Blackboard. More about that will be posted in an announcement. Other assignments that we'll have over the course of the semester, we will have a virtual presentation. And so each student will create a video presentation over an approved lab topic. The video will be between 45 seconds and 3 minutes. And you will post this. You can either post this as a unlisted YouTube video on TikTok, or you can just upload the video to Blackboard. But we'll talk more about this virtual presentation later in the semester. For the lab lecture, we will have a lab lecture quiz final, which will be on August 2nd. It will cover all the labs and all the lab lecture notes that we talked about. And then the final exam will be the following week on August 9th. This will be completed during your lab time. It'll be a practical exam over experiments that we did throughout the semester. So this is our list of experiments that we'll be doing this semester. So we'll be doing a total of, let's see, a total of 12 experiments. This is a breakdown of how the final grade will be calculated. So your lab projects, which are the lab projects are the pre-lab assignments, or I should say the pre-lab and post-lab assignments. The quizzes are the pre-lab quizzes. And then we have lab lecture quizzes, final examination, and then the virtual presentation. And this is the grading scale as well. So what do you need to have done by the first lab? You will need to make sure you do the safety training and bring the 2 certificates to the first lab, which is on June 7th. Make sure you have the proper lab attire, so goggles, long pants, closed-toed shoes. The lab coat will give you as you come into the lab, and make sure you bring your laptop as well. Make sure you complete the syllabus agreements in order to view other lab info on Blackboard and be able to attend labs. So that's very important that you complete the syllabus, or excuse me, syllabus quiz. And what we're going to be doing on the first day is be completing using a burette lab. So you'll need to have the pre-lab video assignment and the safety quiz completed by 11 a.m. on Monday, June 7th. The average of these 2 assignments needs to be a 60 or better for you to attend lab. So these are my office hours. They start on June 10th. So the FLON 1.0108D starting June 10th on Thursdays from 1:30 to 3 p.m. So again, welcome to the course. I'm excited to have everyone. It's been over a year since we've had an actual face-to-face lab course. I hope you enjoy being in the lab, working with chemicals and glassware, and have an exciting time in the lab. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or your lab TAs that will have a more direct communication with you. And we'll see everyone in the lab lecture on Monday, June 7th. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears and just give you a brief virtual tour of the Blackboard course page. So when you log into Blackboard, you click on the Blackboard course. The first page is going to take you to is the Start Here page. And so under the Start Here page, we have information about the lab coordinator, which is myself, and also about the TAs. Information about the lab course. Some basic information about the course, so what computer equipment is required, what computer skills are required. We will be doing a lot of graphing, and so you make sure that you have Excel or equivalent software. Also, when we make graphs, they should be exported as PDFs. So make sure you have access to some software that does that, like Microsoft Word. You will need to get access to the Hayden McNeil Lab Moodle, which contains your digital lab manual and the electronic lab notebook. Then there's the syllabus quiz, the link for registering for the Hayden McNeil digital lab manual and electronic notebook. And then, of course, the Excel lab, which you should start working on. Now, when you first look at this Start Here page, you may not see everything that I see until you start clicking Mark Review as you go through it sequentially. Once you finish everything on this page, then you'll be able to access the Excel lab. In the Excel lab, we have the modules, objectives. We have lab lecture notes, which explains kind of the calculations in the lab. We have a video that goes along with the lab lecture notes. And then you have a practice assignment, which is involving dilution calculations, dilution calculations. And then we have an Excel lab practice tutorial that kind of explains how to navigate the Chem Collective website, some videos on plotting in Excel, and then the Excel lab assignment. So these are some things that you should be working on once you complete the Start Here page that contains the syllabus quiz. So the first thing you should do, go to the Start Here page, click Mark Review for those items that require it. Make sure you complete the syllabus quiz and make 100, and then you can start working on the Excel lab and also registering for the digital lab manual and electronic lab notebook. So I'm excited to have you in this lab course this summer. I look forward to working with you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or your TAs whose emails are in the syllabus for any questions. So on that note is Dr. Armand signing off.